gavel us in.
And we are now broadcasting, just so everybody knows.
And we are at 5:30 on the dot. So this meeting will be called to order. We have a quorum. All commissioners are present. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So Jody, if you wouldn't mind leading us in the pledge. And once again, our faithful and true Commissioner Joshua Price has provided a flag for us to use for the pledge.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into our agenda.
To the flag of the United States.
I had an odd audio. Just start again.
I heard it too.
Okay.
That may have been if somebody had the YouTube channel up and maybe not mute is what it sounded like to me.
Okay. I'm not against saying the pledge more than once. But we're gonna, I love America, and I'll say the pledge as many times as necessary. Let's go ahead and move on to our first item on the agenda, the approval of previous meeting minutes. Commissioners, have you had an opportunity to take a look at those minutes? Any insertions, deletions, comments from anyone?
None from me. None from
I
me.
have none. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 7th, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Going into the business of the hour, the July 7th, 2020 Jacksonville special runoff election. First provisional ballot hearing. Mr. Poe, did we have anyone show up or?
No, nobody's here. But the 7 provisional ballots were all counted.
Okay.
And have been incorporated into the official count, as well as one Uokafa ballot.
Great.
Okay. Good deal. And I suppose no one's going to come for a hearing after their vote is counted. We don't often get that. We don't get that voter to vote. But they're welcome to, I suppose, show up if they want to. All right. Then moving on to certifying the official election results. Dun da da da.
We still need to do the final certification of the provisional ballots.
Just kidding. Let's go back. I'll take my dun da da back, and we'll go back to our certification. Mr. Poe, if you could lead us through that document.
There are 7 provisional ballots, absentee ballots that were counted because the optional verification of identity was signed. The notices were sent last week.
All right. Well, if there's no further discussion on those, I move to certify the provisional ballots in the Jacksonville special election runoff on July 7, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And Mr. Poe, you still have permission to use our stamps as needed for the certification.
Yep, I agree. Thank you, Brian.
Okay. Well, now certification of the election. Mr. Poe, is that our next agenda item there?
That is correct.
Did not jump the gun this time. Okay. Mr. Poe, if you could lead us through.
In the PDF document, you'll find the certification document, the candidate certificate for the winner, and then the official results, as well as a summary report and canvas report.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions or discussion about any of this?
I move to certify the election results for the Jacksonville special election runoff on July 7th, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Mr. Poe, go ahead and you may use our signatures as necessary for the certificate of the election results, as well as the certificate of election that was rolled into that motion. Yes, I assume it all counts as the same thing.
Will do.
So congratulations to Mr. Dietz. Okay. Now, first thing I want to discuss, it didn't make it into the agenda as I would like. I asked it to be, but Mr. Poe, what's going on with the prosecutor getting the information? What information does he need from us?
I was able to talk to Mr. Jegley yesterday afternoon,
Okay.
and I've sent an email to confirm that basically, let me see if I can find that email. He confirmed that the information that we've sent in previous incidents was all that he needed.
Okay. Then that's good. And we have our draft letter that we were waiting to send him until we got the final word of what they needed. Then I believe that was, did you send us a copy of that?
Yes.
Here it is, memo of the prosecutor. And commissioners, any insertions, deletions, changes?
No, I
Sure.
would like to get this signed and get it over.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's do that right now. So, okay, go ahead. So, Mr. Poe, you can use our signatures to get that done, to get that over to the prosecutor and make sure that he's aware that we will assist in any way to help with the prosecutor in any way he needs, because the security and safety and fairness of our elections are very important to us.
Might I request a formal motion for the record?
Sure. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to send a memo to the prosecutor. Sorry, hold on a second.
Go ahead. That's fine.
Let me pull it back up. To send a memo to the prosecutor regarding the provisional ballot cast at St. Mark Baptist Church on 2011-2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, going on. We had several items of interest in today's meeting. Let me get back to my agenda, which apparently I closed. Give me just 1 minute. That's a meeting. Sorry about that. This is what happens when you're using a tiny screen. Do I not have in the email that you sent? No, it's not there. Here, it is here. July 17th today. Okay. So our COVID mitigation procedures for in-person voting. The commissioners get a chance to, is there any discussion about that?
Could you give
Yeah.
me just a moment?
I have a question. I mean, just for clarification for those who may be watching, I know Governor Hutchinson had an executive order earlier this week regarding masks being worn throughout the state, but there was a provision there that it did not affect voters or could not be applied to voters. Is that correct, Brian?
That is correct. And just to make sure that everybody's perfectly clear on that, I actually included that language in the plan. Let's see, it's in both the early voting and the election day.
Okay,
it's-
so we updated that language like we discussed earlier then. Thank you,
Yes.
Brian.
Yeah, and the basically the very last bullet point under voters is voters cannot be required to wear masks to cast their ballots.
Okay.
And I also updated I basically incorporated all y'all's all of your edits that so far as I could divine them, and I let's see, was it this one? No, actually it's the absentee one that I changed the language on for the beginning, for the preamble, or I guess preamble is as good a word as any, the introductory paragraphs. But I basically just kind of clarified the language, spelled it out. Like I made it clear that for training, staff will be wearing masks at all times. But like I said, I just tried to. And I've also incorporated, there's another document I attached to this one, or to the agenda, or to your informational packet. It's called Pulaski County PPE from SOS. I was able to get from the Secretary of State's office quantities of list and quantities of the various PPE that they're going to be providing for us for Pulaski County elections for the general. And I incorporated those materials into the plan. So, for instance, where it previously said, poll workers wear a mask, but it says now like KN95 masks. The Secretary of State will be providing us with a large number of those, or it says and then also latex gloves. We weren't planning on getting face shields, but the Secretary of State got them for us. So we will be providing a face shield to all poll workers, plexiglass shields for all the tables, a whole variety of very useful protective equipment to make sure that our workers are as safe as possible whenever they're conducting their duties.
I do know the governor exempted poll workers from the requirements of masks, but I do want us to require poll workers to wear masks.
Yes.
And I want that in the plan.
Yes, put that in there.
And it is in there. Basically, I double checked this with the county attorney today, but the governor's order is basically saying who's going to get a fine and who isn't. Whereas the county, the commission, can require as a condition of employment that masks be worn whenever they're performing duties.
Right. So I think we need to change that word from will to shall. So they shall wear masks. And the reason is it's two-part. One, to protect them because they are an at-risk population. And
Yes,
the second is I want to make sure that voters know that it is safe to come to the polls to vote. That we are taking every precaution, and that coming to the polls, especially to early vote, is a very safe option and the best option. So I want to make sure that we reiterate that.
Okay, so you want to change from will to shall when okay, we can do that.
Thank you.
Question about this CARES Act PPE form from the Secretary of State's office. When did we get this?
I was able to get a hold of it on Thursday.
Okay.
So Thursdays and yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. So you have you requested to be dispersed by SOS blank, and the quantities estimated by SOS. And then there's a blank at the bottom that says name person completing the form. Do we need to fill this out? Is this something? So this is not what we're getting from SOS. So this is like what's
it's their estimates. Like I believe the clerk actually fills that out because the clerk is the main. The Secretary of State is designated. The clerk is the main contact for the county.
So this does not go to the election commission. This went to the clerk's office.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Do we have a copy of what the clerk asked for? Did the clerk? I'm not aware.
I don't think the clerk has submitted it yet.
Are we going to be involved in that conversation with the clerk's office? Mr. Kennedy, you still with us?
Madam Chair, I am here.
Do you know anything about this?
Yes, ma'am. What would you like to know, Madam Chair?
Well, for the PPE, I guess the CARES Act PPE SOS form here.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the clerk's office going to reach out to the election commission, and are they? Is the election commission allowed to be involved in this process? Like, what's going on? What's the timing? Has this been completed already?
No, ma'am, it has not. We're going to call on Monday morning with the Secretary of State's office and discuss this. What the county clerk's office requested in our initial request when they sent out the initial document this spring, Madam Chair. I think you remember that we suggested that they help us pay for the
document that the election commission wasn't advised on. It was submitted without our knowledge, that document.
Well, I wouldn't say go that far, but yes, ma'am, that's the document we're referring to.
Is the election commission going to be, is a clerk planning on involving the Pulaski County Election Commission in this process at all?
The election commission is welcome to come and talk to us about this if they'd like.
Yes, we would.
What would you
Do
like
we
to
have
know,
something
Madam
planned
Chair?
already on Monday?
Yes, ma'am. We're planning on meeting them Monday morning,
What time?
9:30 a.m.
Okay, commissioners, who can make it Monday at 9:30?
Sorry, let me back up a minute. Brian, are you talking about supplies for our polling sites?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why that the clerk is been charged with that, considering that the poll sites is a responsibility of the election commission, as well as the officials working those sites are the employees of the election commission?
I believe the clerk's office was designated as the primary contact for elections the election. The clerk was designated as the primary
Contact, but not the decision maker. So we need to be involved in that conversation because, and I'm sure the clerk would appreciate that as well, considering that, we know how many poll workers we're going to have. We know our needs. We're the one discussing the plans. So are you working alongside the clerk's office on determining those needs?
I can provide that information to them, yes.
Have they reached out to you for that information?
We did a preliminary discussion on it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to chime in, and I agree with the Commissioner Starr. I mean, Brian, you know how many poll workers we need. You know how many locations we have. You know what those locations look like. You visited probably all of those physically at some point, and I think that you have a wealth of knowledge that can really assist the clerk in deciding how many X, Y, and Z we need of all of these PPP items. So I would love for your input to be included as part of that decision-making process.
Commissioner Price, what's your Monday looking like at 9:30?
I don't believe I can make it, Madam Chair. My apologies.
I can't make it either. All right,
Not on such short notice.
No, yeah, I've got a conflict as well. Had we been told about this ahead of time, could have made those arrangements.
Madam Chair, that was given to us yesterday, and they pressed us for a meeting, and they said the earlier the better.
Hey, Jason, who's
Secretary of
they?
State. Yes,
Who is
ma'am.
they? Who is they?
Secretary of State.
I mean, who's the contact at the SOS? Meeting with?
The gentleman, Kurt.
Nauman.
Nauman, yes, ma'am.
That's who the meeting's with? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
No problem, ma'am.
Can we schedule a time for at least one of the commissioners to be there?
Like I said, that was their document. They did it to us yesterday, and they pressed us for a meeting as soon as possible.
Can we please reset that so we can have someone from the election commission represented at this meeting?
Madam Chair, I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not the one who said it.
Mr. Poe, I need you to be at that meeting. If nobody else can be there, at least you need to be there, please.
Yes, ma'am, will do.
Make that happen on Monday, so at least Mr. Poe will be there. Oh,
I do apologize, Madam Chair. That was not driven by this office. It was driven by a different office.
Roger that. Okay. All right, let's move back to. I think we were still on the COVID-19 mitigation procedures before we went off on this, this document.
That is correct.
All right, COVID-19 mitigation procedures. Any further discussion? Do we want to wait to find out what before we finalize anything?
We do need the information before we finalize the procedures.
We do. So keep this on our agenda, Mr. Poe. Get all the information we can get from report back about this meeting. I need you to brief all the commissioners as to what happened at this meeting on what happens on Monday. So you can be informed and go from there. Okay, keep the COVID the mitigation procedures on our on the agenda going forward, so we can continue to work on this. The next discussion of the general election absentee ballot canvass. Mr. Poe, did you want to lead us through that? Since
Well, once again, I incorporated y'all's suggested revisions from the past meeting, including like in the introduction, noting the statements by the governor and by Secretary Thurston. In addition to that, I also went ahead and spelled out the procedures for security of the ballots both in the transport. Both while they are being in the possession of the clerk's office during transport and as far as their storage. I added an extensive section on that. As requested by Commissioner Starr.
Thank you. All right, commissioners. Any additional discussion at this point about the?
One moment, please.
Go ahead.
Brian, I had sent you an email about getting updates, about working with the clerk's office and getting weekly updates on the number of absentee applications that are coming in, like creating a spreadsheet. And I think this needs to be included in the plan, and that we're going to be tracking that so that we can kind of get an estimate, a prediction of what we think is going to be the total that comes in as in cash.
Okay.
Have you been tracking that yet?
Like Mr. Kennedy has a number.
Okay.
I know it's over 4,000.
Do you know what that is, Jason?
Right.
It's over almost 4,300 already, ma'am.
Okay. And do you know what it was this time in 2012?
Yes, ma'am, about 1,500.
Okay.
So what I'm looking for is basically a spreadsheet that's tracked at maybe the end of the week each week, with kind of historical and versus current, so that we can see what the growth rate is each week versus what it was in the previous presidential cycle. And so that we can kind of give an estimate or prediction of what the total ballots might be cast based on what it was in 2012, so that we can be prepared.
I echo that.
I agree as well.
Can you help us with that, Jason?
Yes, ma'am. It is close to 200% above where we were at this time 4 years ago, which is our record.
Mhm.
To be honest with you, commissioners, it's going to be a large number, and I don't know how high that number is going to be.
Well, I think we can run some, I think we can do some analysis if we can have that number weekly, and we can look at that rate. And as we get closer to the election, and once we, obviously ordering ballots and everything else, and once we start receiving those back in and see what the rate of those coming in are, maybe we can get a better idea, and then we can see what we think are going to be in early voting. I just I don't want what happened in some other states to occur here. And a major concern that I have is voters having their ballots rejected because of errors. I'm very concerned with voters who traditionally do not vote absentee voting and not understanding the process, making mistakes because it is very confusing. And at the end of the day, a lot of upset voters because their ballots did not count because of mismatched signatures, incorrect date of births, mismatched addresses. So I really want to kind of, do what we can to kind of target some of that voter education. So the more information we can get, the better.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, and to echo Commissioner Starr, as we get closer to the election, I'm sure the media will be asking us about, absentee ballots, and to be able to have those numbers on hand that we could just reference and say, hey, we're at 200%, as Mr. Kinney said, we're at 200% is over the last presidential election, or 300%, and this is what we're doing now to address that. I think that's good to not only track it, but then we're able to reference it anytime that someone else asks. So I agree.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
And actually, you gave me another idea, Commissioner Starr, and not to hop back onto the other document, but I know that you've been, Brian, I don't know if you've started, but you're going to conduct a poll of our poll workers and see or survey of our poll workers and see who is willing to work
Yes.
in the fall. I think that's something that I would like to see tracked as well. How many we need, how many have responded that they would be willing to work in the fall, how many were lacking, whatever the difference is. And then you said we had 200 applications that had come in. I think that would be great to track that as well, just so then the public can be reassured that we will have enough poll workers in November.
Yeah, we
Now-
do.
Now,
No, we do
Commissioner
need that
Price, I
information.
already asked for this information, and Mr. Poe and Sean have refused to do that up until this point. So good luck. I hope Mr. Poe decides to do that from your request, because he previously had refused to do that when I had requested that information.
That's
Go
not
ahead,
what
Commissioner Starr. I believe you were talking. Go ahead.
We do need that information, and we need that within the next, probably within the next 7 days. But what we need is, going back to Commissioner Price, we need not just the number of potential poll workers, but if an estimated what percentage of poll workers may either contract coronavirus within the next, 90 days, and what percentage of poll workers may be hesitant to work within the next 90 days, how many backups will we need? So we need to have kind of like a cushion of that as well, and maybe add that cushion in there. So we really need to look at that. Brian, have you had a chance to use the handshake to advertise?
Not yet, no. Like we're trying to get a handle on what we have now before we start to determine what tools will be necessary to fill whatever gaps exist.
So do you not think it would be a good time to advertise on Handshake?
I mean, we could definitely start that. I'll go ahead and let Mr. Camp know that, and we'll get it rolling.
I mean, I don't mind setting it up.
Why don't you do that?
I mean, if the commissioners have a vote of confidence to do that, if you don't have a
Let's
problem
have
with it.
No, please do. I'm
Let's
not
get a motion.
familiar with handshake, so I trust in your expertise if you've used it before.
Are you
Go
good with
ahead.
that, Brian?
I suspect that we'll need as many people as we can get a hold of.
Okay. I'll go ahead and try to get that started and turn it over to y'all so that at least you have something that y'all can work with.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have something to add, to just kind of carry on the conversation that Commissioner Starr expanded upon what I had said earlier. But, Brian, you said 1,000 poll workers is generally what we need in the county. So if you anticipate based on the surveys that maybe we only get 600, but we've got 200 in the queue, so that means we're missing 200. And then, like Commissioner Starr said, provide another buffer. Maybe we shoot for 300 or 400 just to have extra ones, whatever those numbers look like. I'm just putting out examples, but I think to have all that, written out, and then we're tracking it from week to week and meeting to meeting would be very helpful, because then we know where we are and what we need to do. So if that means then you could say, hey, commissioners, we're still short a couple hundred poll workers, that lets us know that we can go to our parties, or we can go to the different, well, there's not really any events going on right now, but whatever networks we have, and try to recruit those poll workers.
Absolutely. And I will provide you that information as soon as we get it nailed down.
Good. I want you to start doing that information. Start providing what you can next week. Even if it's not 100% of the information, we've gone through a lot of things we've just requested, but start giving us a report next week, please.
When does training start, Brian?
Still trying to get that nailed down. I'm planning on starting it in the first week of August.
Okay. Brian, question, training materials. We haven't seen those to be approved by the commission yet. If we have new machines, we would have new materials. When are you going to get those materials to the commission so we can approve them?
I was actually going to address that further down on the agenda.
Oh, let's go ahead and address it right now. Training materials, when you're going to get those to the commission so we can approve them, so we can have training.
Okay, well, I was going to address that when we talked about our next meetings, but I guess we could talk about it now. I was going to ask the commission to meet on the 30th of July.
So Thursday.
Yes, Thursday, the 30th of July. Basically, as we complete the training materials, I'll get those to you so that you can review them prior to the meeting and ask for your approval on that date.
Okay.
How many days can you get it to us, Brian?
Some parts of it are almost complete. This is going to be kind of a piecemeal process because we're trying to utilize as much time as we possibly can for actual training. So like the kind of how the training is going to be set up at this point is we're doing a 2-part training, as recommended, like the state board recommends, where we'll do one part of it for our election clerks. That'll be the basic information, how to check in a voter, how to hand out a ballot, et cetera, et cetera. And then the second part of the training will require a little bit more detail to it. So that'll probably have to be done at a later point in time. But I'm also going to schedule all of those trainings closer to the election because they contain more complex material. And I want to, and for those particular tasks, such as issuing a provisional ballot, I want to minimize the amount of knowledge leakage by running that training as close to the election as possible.
Well, go ahead and answer what the question was. Go back to Commissioner Starr's question.
How long will we have to prepare for that meeting? How far in advance could you get the materials to us?
I'll try to get I'm doing my final review on most of those materials, so I can get them to you next week.
Okay. Yeah, because with that's a lot of materials. I know that takes a lot of time for you guys to work on it. So I want to make sure that we're thorough in the
And
review.
just so you know, like it's like most of the material is it's either already the material that was provided to us by the state board, just kind of reconfigured a little bit to kind of suit the particularities of our county and how we conduct elections. And then we also have material that we have borrowed from Faulkner County and Washington County, which has also been reviewed and approved by the state board.
Okay. I do have a conflict on that day. I won't be home till 6:30.
That's fine.
That's fine with me as well.
We could, you won't be home till 6. Do you want to start at 6:30? You want to start at 7? Like whatever, we'll talk, whatever time is good for you is going to be good for us.
I could start at 7. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I know it's late, but I can't move that appointment.
We can do
Well,
okay.
Well, Commissioner Starr, most of us have nowhere to go anyway, so I think we can accommodate you.
When you say it out loud, Christ, it just sounds sad.
I was thinking about staff. They're there. I hate to bring them back.
Okay, that's good. So 30th at 7. We'll have some things to review at that point. Okay, going down back to our. Okay, we talked about the general election absentee ballot canvas.
At this point, Madam Chair, I would request that you all approve the plan as is, keeping in mind that this is a living document and will be updated periodically. And at that time, any amendments or updates can be approved as well.
Well, yeah, and it would definitely have to be a living document as the situation keeps changing.
Basically, if it's approved now,
Mr. Poe, I'm not going to recognize you right now. I'm going to recognize Commissioner Starr, who's been trying to speak. Commissioner Starr.
Approve which plan?
The absentee plan. I can take what you want in terms of reporting, write up some sections of that, and present that to you at the next meeting.
Okay, do that, and we can approve the plan then.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Unless there's any additional.
I have a question, if I may, Madam Chair. Brian, is there a reason why you wanted the absentee voting plan to be approved tonight? Is there something that you need it for, where it would be better if it had been approved by us?
Well, but with both the plans, I was hoping that you all would approve them tonight, just to basically put something basically to put something in writing to give a little bit more clarity to the situation, because we're going to go ahead and proceed regardless, because time is running out. It's just whether you want to endorse the manner in which we're going to proceed, or we're forced to proceed without your endorsement.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about we are running out of time, and we need to have some plans in place. And these two particular plans have actually been sitting out there for a couple of months.
And we have been.
And I'm saying that ultimately it doesn't matter. The plans can be amended at a later time, but it would just be my preference that they be official.
Okay, your preference is noted. We'll take it up at the next meeting. Moving on to the next item of business. This vote center plan that we got from you, Mr. Poe.
Yes.
You sent us your vote center plan that you made up?
Yes, it's part of the email.
Okay. Well, if there's Ms. Rowe doesn't want to tell us about it. Commissioners, do you have any discussion?
This plan is following the standard format of all the previous plans that have been submitted. And that's what this is actually when I was going to bring up the next meeting is on the 30th. I would like to ask you all to give it final approval so we can move forward to getting it to the forum for. One thing I will note about this plan is there's been a change since the original draft. Emmanuel, after extensive discussions with Emmanuel Baptist, they have opted not to serve as an early voting site this year.
Oh, really?
Do you have an alternative in the within that area?
We're looking at other places, but as of now, I don't have anything right now.
What about was it the Fletch Terry, the library right across from PA? I remember there was a discussion about having that as a location, and there was some questions about maybe some steps, but could we remediate that by, getting a ADA accessible ramp or something just for a temporary change? Is it the
Yeah,
public libraries?
we could absolutely reach out to Central Arkansas Library System and ask for the use of
Let's do that. Let's look at those options. Because there needs to be something. West Little Rock can't be left off. We can't be they can't be left out. So look into that. So we're not gonna be able to go. Yeah, so go ahead and find those other options for us and get those ready. It looks like on the 30th is when we can meet again.
Okay, just to let you know about the timeline for this. This will need to be finalized before the quorum court agenda meeting in August. If the quorum court does not approve this in their August meeting, then we will not be able to have vote centers this year.
Okay.
And when is that meeting, Brian? When is the August quorum court meeting? Is it the first?
It's generally well, let me look at the website real quick.
Is it the second Tuesday or the first Tuesday?
Their main meeting is usually on the
second Tuesday of each month, it says.
I think it's second. Yeah. So
That would be the 11th. So can we plan as a commission, my fellow commissioners, can we plan to give this one more thorough once over and plan to vote on it at our next meeting on July 30th?
Yeah.
Do you think we can, that gives us a couple weeks to read through it and provide Brian with any edits we may have?
Honestly, I don't understand why we're not voting on all three of these plans right now. And
Okay.
I think we need to vote on these three plans right now because we have interested parties that need these plans today. So
Okay.
I'm fine with that as well. If yeah.
Doesn't matter to me.
Is
That's fine.
that a motion, Commissioner
Just
Starr?
know that we-
I do have a specific motion on just adding some identifying information to those plans so that it's apparent that it is Pulaski County Election Commission.
Okay.
So can we go back to the plans?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start with let me go to the agenda. I would like a motion to approve the COVID-19 mitigation processes for in-person amendments as we go, approved by the commission in its full capacity, and with edits to the plan showing Pulaski County Election Commission, the header and the footer with the names of the commission members.
And is there a date on there on each page with as of X date?
The date would be planned approved today, and as it is updated, the updated date would reflect that.
All right.
Yeah, I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And Commissioner Starr, like your audio cut out just a little bit when you were specifying what you wanted. So just be clear, you wanted on letterhead and with the commission's information in both the header and the footer. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes,
And then you have a review. You have a date as it's in effect of today, And then if it's updated, you would have a date of reviewed or update. So that would change as it gets amended. So if it was updated or amended on, August 8th, then that the effect date would still be on the document, but you would also have a second date where it was updated or amended.
In effect, and then amended date. Okay. And that would be footer, I would assume.
Yes, it would be on the footer, which I'm going to discuss that in other business in a little bit. Okay. And then I also want to make a motion to approve the general election absentee ballot canvassing plan. Did I cut out?
You're kind of.
Sorry, my phone keeps going off. Let me mute it. Not mute you, but mute whoever keeps texting. Okay. I would make a motion to approve the general election absentee ballot canvassing plan with the ability to make amendments to that plan as more information comes in. Again, adding the information of the election commission, identifying information of the commissioners, the effective date, and the date of the amended dates to the plan.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And just to be clear, that's on both plans, right?
That's on both plans.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. My third motion is, let me look at it.
And Commissioner Starr, might I make a suggestion? I was going to suggest that in addition to the text that you have before you now and the appendices that are going to be added in, that we include a disclaimer specifying that this is our intent for elections in Pulaski County going forward until it's amended. However, due to COVID-19 and the basically the voluntary nature by which organizations provide facilities to us for the purpose of voting, that may not necessarily be what's reflected in the general election in 2020.
I absolutely agree with having that disclaimer, and I was going to bring that up in other business.
I agree as well. Thank you, Brian.
Third, or I guess second, third. I guess I'm the third. for that.
Third. I would like
Yeah.
to make a motion to approve the 2020 Pulaski County Vote Center Plan
Second.
with the
No.
ability to pursue another early vote location in West Little Rock.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay. So Commissioner Starr, you mentioned you had other business. I'll go ahead and turn it over to you. Anything else?
I do have a few things. One, going back to, needing information on some of these plans, we kind of need, not just, we have letterhead, which I think needs to be updated, but we need some templates for these types of things. I don't mind volunteering to do that. If we have some, then we need to utilize them. But we need to have some standardized templates in place for when we have these types of plans. We need to have standardized templates in place that includes those types of disclaimers that we can use. We should always use disclaimers when we have other types of plans that do not involve COVID, especially when we're using drafts. We should always have a disclaimer when we're using a draft that has not been published or approved. So I would like us to pursue that.
Oh,
May I add something to that?
100% on board.
May I add something to that, Commissioner Starr? Just based on what our previous conversation. I love the idea of having that standardized template and plan. I think we also need to include what data points we're tracking, and also what are our projected outcomes, if possible. Just like you had stated earlier, I think that should be a part of every part of the template of every plan that we have.
100%. Yes.
The second piece, well, actually there's three pieces, but another piece is I really would like us to look in finding somebody else to do our website.
Mm-hmm.
I would like us to get, after this election, to look at getting some bids on our website, because information is key when we're dealing with elections, when we're dealing with voters, and having a more intuitive website with better information that voters can go to and get quick answers that has more drop downs and the ability to be more interactive, I think would be very helpful. And it also alleviates some of the phone calls that you guys receive. So I would like look into that, look at our budget, see if that's doable here after the election.
And if you're looking after November election, our budget to the county is due towards the end of the year. So we can absolutely include that in something you want to look for this next budget year.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Starr, I wholeheartedly agree. In fact, I believe it might have been last summer before you had joined the board, but I had a long discussion with Jody about ways to improve the website. And unfortunately, and included some of the things you mentioned, drop-down menus, being able to search by whether it's legislative or like a mayoral race or a JP race. And again, that would take a lot of the pressure off the staff if folks could access that information themselves. But unfortunately, our platform doesn't have that capability. So I'm glad that you're thinking about revisiting that and rebuilding the site, because our site, I hate to say it, guys, but it is not really 2020. I mean, it's looking a little bit dated, and I think that we can definitely allocate some portion of the budget to making that a lot more user friendly and a lot more intuitive and provide a lot more valuable information to the voters of Pulaski County.
I agree. I agreed way back before Commissioner Starr was on the commission, and I still agree. I'm on board. We need to.
Can I just want to let you guys know, I do have information regarding that and certainly can provide it to you at a future time regarding the plans that we had originally talked about a year ago of how to upgrade the website. So we had something in the pipeline. It was a budgetary thing, I believe, was pretty much the biggest holdup on that before. So
Okay.
we can certainly move forward with that as long as we have the money to do so.
I think now with COVID-19, we need to make sure that and everyone is moving to digital and online platforms. We need to make sure our website is easy to use and responsive and providing the information, the most up-to-date information that the voters of Pulaski County need.
Absolutely.
Because it's very clunky, mobily, and that's people are, we're on Zoom meetings. Everyone now is moving to digital, so we need to make sure our website is with the times.
Exactly. The last piece is that I really would like us to focus on utilizing some graphics, kind of like a campaign. And I think that we could all help with this because I know that staff does not have time to do this. And if the commission agrees and that we can all do this, to provide these to the staff to utilize on social media wherever they can, so that we can make sure that we're defeating any misinformation that's coming out of this election, to make sure that the public is being informed, and then make sure that we are the ones informing the public under the responsibilities and duties the commission has. Information regarding things that are under our purview needs to be coming from the election commission. And we need to make sure that we are getting that information out so that voters do not have to go elsewhere to find it. So I think that's important. I think we need to make sure that we're getting a campaign out showing that the polls are going to be safe and they're going to be secure and they're going to be clean. And voters can come and they can feel confident that they are going to be healthy. It is their public safety, of course, is the utmost importance to us. And there are also other alternatives if they cannot. So I want to make sure that we're getting that information out there, as well as the process and the issues that we've seen in the past with absentee voting and how to prevent those issues. So I think that voter education is extremely important, but I do think it needs to come from us. And we can do this. So I think we can work together and come up with some stuff.
Commissioner Starr, if I might add, I like this last week or two, like I reached out to Cosetta Jones, who's the communications director for the county, and basically whatever content that we can produce, they can also push out through their channels as well.
Oh, fantastic.
I like it. That's wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, great.
Thank you, Mr. Poe. Well, I think we are 100% agreement with Commissioner Starr. Commissioner Price?
Yeah, I was going to say, Commissioner Starr, I'm sure you've you're not a stranger to Canva.
Actually use Bengage. It's a different one.
Okay, well, it's similar type of a
Yeah.
platform, but yeah, I think that you and and I don't know if Commissioner Gomez would like to join in. I don't know how graphically inclined she is.
Not at all, but I know things that like if they look good, like I'm happy to help out with.
But
You
I
know.
think Commissioner Starr and I could probably whip up some things, and maybe Brian, if you could also help provide a list of topics, and then maybe we kind of divide.
I can do the list.
You could do the list, and then Commissioner Starr and I can divide the work maybe, and then create different sets of graphics that we could then share with the commission as a whole, and then we could work from there.
Absolutely. We just need the logo.
Hmm.
We just need a copy of the logo.
Okay.
Yeah, a clean copy, because I think I have a copy, but it's like I snatched it from somewhere. But a high-res copy would be great.
Official, a copy would be great.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, good. Mr. Poe can make that happen, or maybe Jody. He's on the call. Maybe Jody might be the one that has the high res logo. Someone over there does. Well, Commissioner Starr, anything else?
That's all.
All right, Commissioner Price.
Nothing else for me.
All right. Is anything else for the good of the commission, Mr. Poe?
Yes.
Was there any public comment or anything that
There are no public comments, but there are a couple more things that I need to cover with y'all.
Okay.
First, I need to let y'all know that municipal filing starts on the 29th and runs through the 5th. School filing starts on the 27th of July and runs through the 3rd of August. So that means that in addition to the meeting that we've set on the 30th to do the training materials and finalize the additions to the vote center plan, we'll also need to meet on the 21st to review political practice pledges. This date really there's no wiggle room on that.
Oh, yes.
It has some political practice pledges. For some reason, it always has to be 24 hours after we receive it. So, and then on the 24th of August, that's the deadline for the ballot draw for the general election.
Okay. Okay, so the 21st is kind of a hard deadline for just because of it. That's how the timelines are. Is that correct? Was it 21st? Is that the date you said?
There's no wiggle room on that, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's July 21st, 5:30
July 21st.
or August 21st. Mr. Poe?
August 21st.
August 21st. Okay. August 21st, 5:30. I assume is going to be is that time going to work for everyone? Does anyone know any conflicts at this time?
That works for me, Madam Chair.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pencil that in or put that in our schedule.
On the ballot draw, there is some wiggle room there. It's just, whenever y'all want to do it, but the deadline is the 24th.
So how
Okay.
we can do the ballot draw if we can't be there?
Basically, the only requirement in the law is that it be drawn by lot.
So we could have someone from the commission do that for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, but you could I could hand that off and have one. You can basically designate one person to do all the drawing. At this point, I don't think that it's a tradition, but lots of traditions are being broken due to the pandemic. So I don't think that we'll be able to do what we normally do and allow the candidates to draw for themselves. But any of the commissioners, or if you wanted to designate a staff member to, basically just designate somebody, and we'll get them the bingo set and let them, and they can draw the numbers.
And they can just do it really close to the camera so you see the entire process and there's no question about any funny business. And
Yes.
Yeah, we can set up a separate camera to ensure that they can see that clearly.
That's awesome. So what date
Okay.
does that run?
what's our range of dates for the ballot draw?
Well, I said that it basically has to be the 24th.
The 24th?
Yes, because we're going to have to do the 21st for the political practice pledges, because they have to be done within a day after the certification from the clerk's office and the Secretary of State. The clerk's office might certify earlier, but the Secretary of State traditionally waits till the last day.
Okay.
So, like, and just so you know, if I find out that we can get them both certified earlier, I can notify you, and the date can be moved.
Okay.
Thank you.
And hate to have two public meetings so close together. If they could have, they
Been
don't have
merged.
to be so close. So the August 21st is a Friday and the 24th is a Monday.
Yes.
Am I looking at the right calendar? Okay.
Yes.
So 5:30 for both August dates. And is that going to work for everyone?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
works for me.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, the 30th at 5:30, or no, at 7. Is that correct, Commissioner Starr?
7.
The 30th at 7 is going to be our next meeting.
Like you all had also asked me for an update on our surveys. We've we sent those both out last week. At this point, we got about roughly 35% of our responses from our poll workers. Like I went through them I went through them before the meeting. We have a total of 474 responses. 279 of our poll workers said yes, they will work.
Good.
150 said no, they will not work. Although many of those are open to working in the absentee process, they just don't want to work at the polls. And then I have an additional 45 people who sent in ambiguous responses. It was something along the lines of they wrote, "I don't know yet," or they did not mark either yes or no as to whether they would work at the polls. So those are going to require some follow-up.
All right, that's good information.
That is good information.
Well, and that helps us determine how much of a buffer we're going to need.
Yes.
You know, if they're undecided, we'll need to leave. If they're undecided in mind, we assume and plan for that they won't do it, and that will help us determine that buffer.
I would put them in the no column.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
They may just be, being nice, and they don't want to say no, but if they're
Yeah.
undecided,
It'd be great if we could move them in the yes column, but I would put them in the no column.
Okay, Mr. Pope, you can give us the information that you just, the numbers you just read off. You can get it, reduce that to writing, get that to the commissioners. I think that'd be really.
I can get y'all an email on it. And what I'll do is I'll try to update y'all on that basically whenever we update them as we update them here in the office.
Yes, absolutely. We need to know that information as soon as we have it.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Brian, why don't we just use Teams, and why don't you put that in Teams? Did I say something crazy?
No, I mean it's the reason that we kind of avoided using, or at least in my view, avoid Teams or Slack or something like that, is because I don't want to run afoul of FOIA.
Yeah, that could be considered a meeting if there's any exchange back and forth and making decisions. But you can forward us the information, and that's not a meeting.
I'm sorry. Let me finish. If I'm talking about putting it in a file in Teams, not as in a chat.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Because if it's in a file, it's the same thing if it's in an email. You're only putting in a file and updating, and you can remove edit permissions for the commission so that they cannot interact. But this way you can keep it updated. We can view it. We just can't interact on it.
Okay. That sounds perfectly logical.
All right, make it so, Mr. Poe. Anything else before we conclude that we need to know, that we need to cover?
So that was the poll workers. As far as the polling location goes, we received, I believe, 39 responses back. 35 were positive, 2 were negative, and 2 are ambiguous and will require clarification.
Okay,
One of
get that information to the commissioners as well, and continue to see what we can do so we don't lose polls. That's less than ideal.
Yeah, Brian, if we can find out, what their, obviously everybody is worried during the pandemic, but what their
Yes.
key concerns are of these locations, and maybe we can help, address whatever that is. If the concern is PPE, we can assure them that, hey, we do have PPE. Check it out.
And I will contact them and see. But the 2 that are no are pretty. They indicated on their survey that they're pretty firm no's.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Brian, you said these are the polling sites, right?
These are the polling sites. Yes.
What are the no's? Are they churches?
Yes.
Okay, because I know that like my church is not open to the public yet. They're still doing online, and for the other side, they're only using the city center for service. So I know some churches still haven't opened their doors. So I wonder if those sites just haven't opened their doors yet.
Well, one of the questions on the survey was, even if you're not open to the public for your normal purpose, would you be willing to open for voting? And
Okay.
they said no on that too, because so we tried to clarify that with everybody during the survey. And just so you know, whenever we get in more response, we're going to start compiling that probably next week. Update
the commission as soon as you get that together, please. The commissioners need to know about this as soon as that information is available, so we can help to get this taken care of for the people of Pulaski County. So
Thank
just
you.
keep the commission informed as you are informed. We need to know what's going on, Mr. Poe.
Okay. That is information.
All
I can
right, if
answer.
there's nothing else at this time, this meeting will be adjourned. Our next meeting will be the 30th at 7 p.m. Thank you. We are adjourned.
All right. Well,
Commissioner Price, can I quickly tell you, I was going to tell the other 2 commissioners as well, and I'll email them, but you guys we have a Microsoft Teams account already established for you guys. It's connected with the email, so I can send you instructions if anybody needs that, but I just wanted to.
Actually, Jody, that's what I was going to say is I need instructions because I know nothing about.
Yeah.
okay. Excellent. Well, I'm fairly familiar with Teams, so thank you, Jody. Go ahead and set that up for us then.
I'll do it.
Brian, it's like similar to like Google Docs or something. It's like, well, kind of all have access to it, and we can just pull the files down, and we'd have access to the most up-to-date versions. And you don't have,